the work that I felt interested to, I always thought this work will be valuable now, but I feel like it's more valuable in the future, because I remember going online and looking for pictures of Nairobi in colonial times when the city was just starting to get built. And most of the people that photographed those, the images are just somewhere online. There are no rights to them. Anyone can use them. But then these are just random pictures, not really organized catalog.
What's a gig that you get that maybe not just reignites the faith in the craft and the path that you're on, but is almost even validation, and it's like, yes, definitely, if I can get more of these, like we are on
definitely, I think I'm going to say, for me, in fact, that was even my first million.
Yeah, you said,
even though it didn't come into my account as a million. I was so mad when I realized this withholding tax.
I just want you to maybe just say something to a photographer, videographer, someone in the creative industry who's at the top of their game, who's going through their 2019, where no one's calling, jobs aren't coming through, and you're like, what is going on?
Yo.
Hey everybody, it's Friday, so it's Financially Incorrect Day. I have a new episode, a new money story, and hopefully an interesting one as well. It took me, I think I spent, and I kid you not, maybe 3 hours prepping for this interview, just watching stuff, reading stuff, trying to see as much as I could, because I did not want to waste the opportunity of having the legend Mutua Matheka with me today to speak about, or to hear what elements of finance about his life he's going to share with us. So Mutua Matheka, welcome to Financially Incorrect.
Thank you very much. Out of any podcast I could have imagined, this was the one that I least would have expected to find myself in.
I mean, I think, your money story is definitely important. I think it's important, and I think everybody who sat there, I definitely have taken a thing or two from them, regardless of what their status was, regardless of how much money they made or didn't make. So I am sure I'm going to leave here with something. And I came up with, very few times do I write notes or questions, but I have quite a few notes here that I want to go over. But in financially incorrect fashion, my first question, completely left field, and this actually was sent to me by one of the producers here, and he's a big guy here at FS. Anyway, so he asked me, because every time there's someone here before the episode, if I don't have anything interesting or I haven't come across anything interesting, I always ask, what's the most interesting thing you've learned this week, so that I can sort of bring it up as conversation. So he sent me this yesterday, which is, why are plain windows not square?
Interesting. Why? I might be wrong, but I think round things are more stable than corners. I like to think so.
Yeah, I think you're on the, it's in a very simplified way, that's the answer. Because the answer apparently is that pressure and stress distribution, it's about pressure and stress distribution. When a plane flies at high altitude, the cabin pressure, is pressurized, the cabin is pressurized. Square windows have sharper corners, which concentrate stress. So over time, repeated pressurized situations and depressurized cycles cause metal fatigue at those corners. The world's first commercial jet, the de Havilland Comet, had square windows. In the early 1950s, several Comet planes exploded mid-air. Investigators discovered that the cracks started at the corners of the square windows, and it grew with each flight, causing catastrophic failure at fuel something. Anyway, but yeah, basically around...
First of all, that was such an expensive lesson.
Yeah, very, very expensive lenses. Like, you'd think that the aeronautical guys or whoever would have already calculated figured it out. Yeah,
they maybe test some in a tube somewhere
and be like,
didn't they have a way to test things?
It's crazy
to just see what happens. But
anyway,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Second question, which is more from your life, right? And this I heard you. This was something you said at an interview, that getting married unlocked getting married allowed you, or your wife allows you to unlock who you really are.
Yeah.
Which I found was, like, as a person who's got married recently, like a really profound statement.
Yeah.
And I just wanted you to talk about that. I don't even know what. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think, first of all, I got married young. I got married at 26. My wife was also 26. So there's something, I mean, I don't think you know yourself. You think you do in your 20s, but you don't really, really know yourself. But I think when I got married, it was like, okay, now from here, there's no, like this person I'm with, I don't need to prove myself to them. They love me for who I am. All I need to do is better myself. And so it became, I think it's easier to explore more of who you are and therefore know more of who you are. But that again is if you're in a marriage that allows you
To do that.
to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I hope I also do the same thing for her. But I think it gave me so much. Like after that, I'm like, there's no one who can now come out, anyone from the outside who says you have to be this way. I don't care enough. I only care enough about who I am for my wife. And so if she's happy, then I just hope my self-improvement also benefits her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the freedom to be able to, having the security to be able to pursue whatever it is that you feel you need to pursue to become who you need to
Yeah.
be.
Because even when I was quitting my first job, like that was the only thing. It was, yes, there's people like my mom who before will be the person that you talk to about things like this. But now it's like I have to think about, okay, my wife, it's a decision that is strong, because if I quit this job that makes this money that keeps us comfortable to try something new and things don't work out well, you're directly going to be in the line of that fire. So you have to be okay with it now, because it's not just my decision.
Yeah.
And I think being with a person that kind of allows that freedom, it means literally anything is possible. If things are hard, mnajua, we can lock in together, just kazana. But when things are good, also you enjoy together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I want us to talk a little bit about the art of photography before we get into your money journey. And I'm asking this from the perspective of, because again, on one of the interviews I heard you speak about, you said, I hate it when people ask me, what does it take to be a great photographer? And you said, I don't know. Because, and it's a bit of a long-winded thought, but it's tied into, because I think the end of that comment is you said, I prefer when someone asks about a very specific skill, and you talked about shutter speed or something, and like, that that's someone who's invested in the craft and is willing to, or is actually invested, and you would actually be able to give them advice that would help them.
Yeah.
And it's linked to a thing I saw on Twitter this week. Will Smith had just released a song. And the caption of the initial tweet that put it out was, I don't know why Will Smith thought about singing. And then there's a guy who's quoted the tweet, and he's a producer. And then he said, the only problem with this song is tempo. If you put it times 1.5 or slow it down, you have a fire
Becomes
song. And I did it myself.
Yeah.
And genuinely, like at 1.25, it's like it's a jam.
It's a totally
different jam. And so I was just, but the reason I'm talking about these two things is, I'm trying to get into the space of understanding a craft, or understanding a craft or a skill well enough to be able to offer advice, and like the journey one has to go on to get to the point where you're so skilled, where someone listened to a song for 2 seconds was like, speed it up and you have a jam.
Yeah.
And the journey that you've taken to become the renowned, excellent legend that you are within the photography space. What's that pursuit like?
First, I think I've always not really enjoyed questions because most of the time when you're starting out, I also think you don't know what questions to ask that are useful enough to actually help you become better. But also, I think I used to not have too much patience, and now I've grown a little. Like now I can listen to people and what they're asking and kind of figure out what they want to know. And so ignore the generality of the question and just lock down to something that could be like, okay, if you're at this stage and you do this and you do this, I feel like you need to go on this path. And this is just based on the experience that I've had, because I've been shooting a long time, and many times it moves from where you just have energy. Like when I started shooting in my 20s, like I just did a lot. And that's one of the beauty, I think, of youth, is that you can grow so much because you have so much energy to do a lot. Like I was shooting every single day, because also I didn't know that I maybe should slow down or whatever. Like I had so much energy. This was exciting to me. And there's no way that you'd find me without a camera like in my first 2 years. And also I was young, I had energy. I could just decide, let me walk home from work so that I shoot things along the way, or walk along a distance, pick a mat further on. So things like this, I wouldn't do now. Like a lot of now my projects are a bit bigger, so I can't shoot every day. It's like it's like I'm shooting twice or once a week. But the thing I'm shooting, younger me would plan that for maybe a couple of months. Now, I can plan that 1 week and shoot that big thing, and it has a lot more impact. And so that's one of the differences. Like the magnitude and the things that you want to say become clearer. So I'm not just shooting around in the dark like I was doing back then. Now everything is a lot more precise. Like I have to watch myself actually so that I don't waste too much of my energy, because I know it's limited now that I'm in my 40s. I'm like, okay. And also I have very clear goals of some things that I'm doing. And the goals change. They're not the same every year. Last year, I did a big show, which was my first big show that I did. And from the time that I decided I'm going to do an exhibition this year, all my energy of the year was focused on that exhibition. About 5 months before it opened, that's all I did. I had to be very careful about which jobs I even took. As much as I needed money, I couldn't just take any jobs, because the more jobs I took, and especially jobs that are not really, like are really taking a lot of my energy, that's energy and time taken away from the exhibition. And this is a wild thing, because on one hand, you always need money, because especially as an artist, money doesn't just come and find you all the time. So you always need money. The exhibition itself needs money and needs effort. But if I spend my time making the money for the exhibition, then I'm not going to produce something.
Right.
So it's always this cycle that that's like the worst thing I would say about being in the creative industry. And I don't know whether it's globally or it's just here in Kenya, but that cycle of always needing the money to do the things that are important, having to do things that are not important to make money for the important things, but then also balance that time just so that it's just enough, doesn't tip over.
To the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. A friend of mine said this to me once, and I'll qualify it by, she said it a long time ago. I was good friends with Tandiwe Mureo.
Yeah.
And this was maybe 2000 and, maybe even 12 or 13, like around there.
Yeah.
I think she had, started her journey, but not really started. And I remember her getting to an argument with her about photography. She was telling me, photography at the end of the day is manipulation of light.
Yeah.
And like depending on, because I think at the time I don't remember what I was telling her, but we're debating on the color of something. And she was like, no, if I put this under the right light, we'll see the true color of it. And it's brown,
yes.
it's not black.
Yeah.
And that's what she's telling me. Photography at the end of the day is just a manipulation of light.
Yes.
How the light hit something, and am I able to capture it in the right space and sort of then display that for people to see.
Yeah.
I guess my comment to this was to see what your response would be to that.
No, that is true. That is true. And not only that, like, which is what now, even you can go further and say, depending on what kind of photographer you're a photographer that wants to show people the truth, the objective truth, or are you a photographer that wants to manipulate the way people see things or show people something different? Because depending on what your goal is, if you're a photographer who wants people to see the truth, then that means the things, your subject matter must be like everything that you manipulate, or any way that you manipulate light, your settings must be to show people this truth. If your goal as a photographer is actually to hide something, then again, you manipulate light and your settings in a way that takes you to the goal. So for me, I always think photography, as much as you need the technicality, photography is vision, is the power of observation. Depending on what you want to achieve, then you must, fine-tune your observation. And I think with most artistry, you kind of have to fine-tune your observation, fine-tune seeing things. And that's why most artists you see might not be, even when, like, not just in their field, but they're just people watchers and observers of small things and tiny things and the way tiny things change. It might not necessarily make you a better person, but it just is how we are.
Yeah.
For me, I learned more on the manipulation side and the observation side for deciding that what do I want to show, and then working back, deconstruct that. If I want to show just this area, then how do I light that so that I show just that, and then everything else kind of shroud it in darkness or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that sort of, I guess, classifying yourself in that space, the phrase is not what you look at that matters, it's what you see, right? There's that famous,
Yes.
there's that famous phrase. Is it? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's not what you look at, it's what you see.
Is what you see. Yes.
How challenging can it be, or does it get, when people don't see what you want them to see?
It's annoying.
Yeah.
It can be so annoying.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I think now, again, just from the experience that I've had, and just with anything artistic, because many times, especially in this country, in a country where people consider one thing art and the other one not art, and many times you'll be like, okay, I've shot this fantastic body of work, or I've created this fantastic body of work that I think people should fall in love with, and then nobody pays it any mind because it does not connect to them. And that's the hard truth, is that it's fine that people have to be allowed that, but it doesn't mean it doesn't suck. It sucks when you're trying to, because if you're an artist, you put yourself in the thing. Like, there's a way that you see the world, and you hope that people see. And I actually don't believe this is just an artist thing. I think humanity is about that connection. That's why every time you express yourself in any way and someone says that they can see that thing, whether it's you choose to wear this type of shoe because you like this type of shoe, you feel that for you, you like how understated it is, you like the comfort and all of those things. And if no one else around you thinks that that's a fly shoe, it kind of sucks. It's okay, but it sucks. But the one time that you meet someone who's like, oh my gosh, I also love these shoes, there's a spark, because there's a connection. And as much as sometimes we say, oh, I don't care if people like whatever, but when you find that connection with someone, it makes you feel happier. Yeah. And so even as an artist, when you do something that you thought this was a quirky or a weird thing that I like to do, and then someone notices it, it's amazing. For me, when I put some Easter eggs in some of my work, and then somebody comes later or posts on the internet and said, oh, I really liked how you added this thing in the inside sleeve of this. And I'm like, thank you so much for saying that, because it's like a thing that I put for myself, but also just to see who might notice that thing.
Yeah.
Who will actually read. Yeah. And that's when you realize many people don't really care about details. And it's also, again, it's okay. But like when they do, I think when you care about details, it sometimes makes life very exciting when you note something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a cost financially to the pursuit of that kind of creative excellence?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And can you give us some examples? Yeah.
Because it's like when you're trying. So the only way this will not make a difference is if you're a trust fund baby and you have money regardless, and you can just follow whatever quirky pursuits that you like, and it doesn't matter if people like them or want to buy them. You're just fully expressing yourself. And as much as art is expression, there's also the business of creativity and the business of art. And that's where it can get a bit complicated, because if you're going to be detail-oriented in the things that you do, that means they take more time, which means if it's a product, it has to be more expensive. Or maybe you go find why to just search for the thing that has been made in a certain way because that's what you want to use for your thing. Either the thing will be expensive or it will be a thing that this guy only produces once a year or whatever. So either there's a time constraint or financial constraint. There's always something.
Yeah.
There's no way that thing, if you now take it and make it part of your production and release it to the public, there's no way that becomes cheap. And so if your pursuit is that of those excellent details and things like that, but then you're not in a situation where you can sell them for what they're worth, it's going to affect the business side of things. So now that artist might find themselves, for example, having to produce something else that is for mass production, that is easily chewable, just for the sake of making the money to, do something and figure out a way to make a living. Or that artist might have to get a day job so that they can focus their day job on making money, making a living, and then their art can just be for frivolousness. And so that, again, it comes down to that balance, and it will always affect things, especially when you are attracted to the finer ways of making art, but you know that you can never, at least in the beginning, sell it in a way that it becomes useful to you as a career. That part can be can be so tricky.
I have two final questions before we really get into your financial journey. And the first one is, just off of what you've talked about, have you, with your business model, have you found yourself having to rely on an international market or a more advanced market? So, for example, I know like Tandiwe's primary market is not here. Her agent is elsewhere, and they're selling to very private, very specific. What do they call them?
Collectors.
Sovereign, discerning, whatever words you want to use, to be able to I guess sell her art in a way that makes sense. Have you found yourself also in that space?
I have, not necessarily, not for the lack of trying. It's been a different, and that's the interesting thing, because Tandiwe, we've also known each other from when I was starting. I think I met her back 2010 or 11, just when I was starting, and when she was starting to also get serious. So we've kind of grown together, but very different paths, and very different focuses. But I always remember her being a very focused person on exactly what she wanted to do. So went into that, like, always focused on getting her light where it needed to be, her subject where it needed to be. My path has been more exploratory. I am more so guided by curiosity than anything. And I'm very curious about many art forms. But also as I grow older, I've had to kind of understand, to kind of focus my attention a bit more. Like if I decide to work on this project, kind of give that the energy that it requires, then try something else. But now the thing is, I've had, like, in my income, I've definitely had maybe a quarter. I think a quarter every year is always from foreign clients, whether it's in selling the art or actually getting commissioned to create something. And, it's always that balance. So for me, I've had to really figure out how can I sell to Kenyans, and that one is a lot tougher. But my thought, like my process has always been, okay, in the meantime, because you can either wait for doors to open for you. You can either wait for doors to open for you, or sometimes you can just find a way to create those doors. And so for me, one of the things I said, even before I get to wider markets, I am trying to prioritize serving the market that I have at the moment and figuring it out from there, which is a tough thing. But sometimes we get some things, and sometimes you kind of feel you've figured out something, and then it's another year and everything changes. it's a very volatile
Market.
market to
Okay.
deal with, affected by too many factors.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so about 25% of your income is foreign.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
The final thing, just on this photography and everything, again, I think you said on an interview, which I found really interesting, is you said one of the greatest, I think, legacies you're leaving for your kids is if your children manage your portfolio, right, they could be millionaires.
Yeah.
And I thought it's a very interesting legacy or interesting thing to leave for your kids.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that there's many other crafts where literally the thing that you do, you can leave that as an inheritance.
Yeah.
And that would be really valuable. Usually
Yeah.
it's more the output. Like you'll be a good doctor, you'll earn good money, maybe you'll
And then
build
you
a
leave the
flat.
money.
And then you,
Yeah.
But this one is because you're a good photographer.
Yeah.
You can leave them like...
Yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to hope that the legacy of your work will be even more valuable when you're gone.
Yeah.
And
Ideally, that's how it...
that's ideally. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if you are a good artist, that could work. And I think we've seen it so many, whether it's in music portfolios, in photography, at least we have Mohammed Amin, whose son, Salim, I think manages his dad's digital, well, not digital really, because he shot mostly film,
Yeah.
but analog portfolio. And I think it's possible. And so, and that for now also, again, it's for based on where I am in life. Who knows in 10 or 20 years how that will change. Maybe those assets now will turn into more physical things, as we hope. But then at the same time, for me, it's never to take what I'm doing as only valuable now. Because I understand that the value of what I do and the subject matter of what I shoot, I understand that the value goes higher with time, especially because it's based on connection, on culture, on civilization as we know it. And I think things like those become a lot more interesting when time has passed, 50 years later, 100 years later. And so if I can, train the kids and have my rights and my copyrights done well, then they can have something amazing for me to live to just continue. And I'm very inspired, like, by, in a very general way, when people like, when Blue of Jay-Z and Beyonce got a Grammy because she's part of
the line.
a song.
Yeah.
And whether she did something, I think she had a line or two in that song.
Yeah.
But that's another way of, as a parent, you're already putting your children's name in the thing. When DJ Khaled made his son executive producer of his album, so his son already gets royalties.
Yes, immediately.
It reduces some of your income, but then you're trying to put them, because he'll live longer than you. That's what you hope. And when that happens, all the time that he's living, anytime they play your song, he's going to be
get
making money, whether I'm there or not.
Yeah.
We don't have that in photography, but that's in the way that I think about, because I find that so interesting.
Was it something that you did deliberately, or did it like just happen? That thinking of you can literally set up your lineage for generational wealth with your work if things go right.
I honestly cannot remember when it clicked or hit me, but I remember from as early as 2012, I've always thought that way about my work. With the kids, not that early, but like with my work, I've always thought that the work that I felt interested to, I always thought this work could be valuable now, but I feel like it's more valuable in the future. Because I remember going online and looking for pictures of Nairobi in colonial times when the city was just starting to get built. And most of the people that photographed those, the images are just somewhere online. There are no rights to them. Anyone can use them. And I'm like, this is such useful lessons for people, in the future. They'll be looking at this. But then these are just random pictures, not really a organized catalog. When I take my pictures, which is also now, again, this also comes to the way I organize my work and things like that. So the thing is, oh my gosh, I feel like I've said so many things at the same time. Hopefully you'll find a thread. Hopefully whoever is listening will find a thread. Because here's the thing. Also, again, my background is in architecture. in architecture, we learn to always plan. Like we plan everything. We plan the impact the building will have. We design that. We design for that. If this building is going to be here, we have to think about what happens to the traffic on the road there. People, if this building we assume is going to be 50 floors, how many cars do we foresee will be coming to this building every day? If we say 500 cars, okay. If 500 cars are leaving work at 5, then you have to think about how will they join the traffic? What kind of traffic will they create? Then that makes you think maybe we need a different kind of exit. Maybe we need a different kind of road. Maybe we need to take less space as a building to do the road. Like you have to think so much ahead. And so I find myself applying those principles with my work. I think of my work and I think of when people find it, if I die by chance, please no.
Not yet.
Not yet. Like I want someone to go into my computer and be able to just find everything. And so from even the way that I categorize my work, from the date to the place and things like that, I do it so that anyone who suddenly comes and finds it can just search and be like, do you think Mutua has anything Nairobi 2020? And they can just 2020 Nairobi and see folders. And that is a small thing, but it's part of making it have longevity.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. This is, I guess now we've got a question now we get into the finance and business stuff. Do you think if your work was positioned more as an investment, do you think that may fast forward? Because, we are an emerging economy, we are an developing society, our appreciation for art and things like, it's slowly moving. But do you think, like right now, if the same way I'm looking at different investment options, and I'm like, okay, I can buy a Mutua Matheka piece for 200K.
Yeah.
And this piece will appreciate at 5% every year or 10% every year, whatever the case is. And in 10 years, I can be able to potentially sell this at 1 million shillings or 2 million or 3 million. And if he even goes on to become a greater exponential artist, my investment will equally exponentially increase.
Yes.
And so whereas I may get a rate of 10 or 11 or 12% from whatever investment scheme or financial option I'm being given by my bank, I can invest in this. It might seem a bit riskier, but hopefully Mutua Matheka goes and does something great in like 3 years and this gets my investment worth X. Anyway, my question is around, do you think if art was positioned more as an investment option, people would be more inclined to, and just reframe the way people look at it?
Reframe, yes.
Yeah.
I really hope so, because I feel like that's what happens in Europe and America. They've positioned art that way. And I really believe value in any way, value, where we place value, whether it's financial value or artistic value, is, for lack of a better word, it's all fake, in that we are the ones who decide.
Yes.
When we decide, if we decide as a community, banks are safe, then banks become safe, and the money that you put there becomes more valuable over time. It's just the decision. If we decide, that's why in this country we've decided it's buildings, or we've decided it's land. We've just decided, even though whether it's always so in reality or not. And in the same way, if we decide it is art, then it becomes so. But for me personally, as an artist, I know, I always say that that's what I'm working for. Like the strides and the effort that I'm putting in my work is for the sole purpose of being more prolific as the years goes by. And so I always tell people, like, if you ever want to buy my work, the best time is now. It only gets more expensive. In 2 years, it will be more. You might have more money, which is good. That's a good thing. But the work will be more expensive, because I am never looking at going backward, always looking to be more innovative in what I do, more conscious in the choices that I make. And I think the only way is up, even though I can't control that. But I really wish in Kenya we also saw it that way. Because also not just thinking in terms of an investment where you put in money and you get money out, but also investments that become tax write-offs and, things all like this, where this becomes something that,
if we had a policy that where if I purchased art, I would be able to have it as a tax deductible element of my returns. It would inadvertently spur me to buy more art.
Because I feel like that's what
Yeah.
that's
A
what
lot of those
happens when people buy this, and maybe you buy these pieces at maybe $1 million, and then in as part of your value, I mean your worth as an individual, having that artwork that becomes part of your value. But then because the artwork, we decide that the art
Is worth whatever. Yeah.
what do you call it? Increases in value quickly, like more quicker than
Appreciates,
land.
yeah.
Appreciates, yeah. So that means that piece that is $1 million now, in 2 years, we've decided that it will be worth 8 million.
Yeah.
Then suddenly I'm worth 8 million and not 1 million anymore.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it means generally to the systems of the world, I have more access to more things because I'm valued at more money.
Interesting. I mean, a lot of solutions there using art as collateral. Anyway, a lot of solutions
So
that can
many.
be explored.
Yes.
Anyway, where's your value for money? What forms your understanding and, I guess, appreciation for what value for money is? And how old were you when that first comes to your consciousness?
I think for me, this came much later in life. And I don't even think I'm there. I know I've said some things that even me, I had myself, I was like, why do you sound like you value money? And I'm like, I don't know where that came from. Maybe my subconscious.
Yeah.
But I think in my growing up, I always say, like, this always comes up when I'm talking, especially to my wife, as foundational of the kind of way that I think about things. Because I didn't grow up poor, at least for the first bit of my life. Like, I'll never remember us being in need. Like lower primary school, all through primary school, we were not rich. Just one car, but like never in need as a kid, like never hearing things like, we can't eat this or we can't have this, because stuff like that. Lived in a good house, grew up in Machakos, but then also that was in a 2-income household. My father was a doctor, my mom was a teacher, and things were also, I guess, cheaper then. So I don't think we really had problems, but we first felt it. I can say when I first felt it is when my dad left, and with that, he wasn't as financially involved, and that was the first time for me in my life that I was like, okay, now I need to find a way to make some money on the side somehow, because my mom is having a huge burden of having to take care of 2 kids and things like that, and that part sucked. So I've grown up not in need to where now I can say that we were, I don't say poor, but it felt like, it was like now hand to mouth. Now I can't really go to my mom, ask for money for clothes. That one has to be, I do the work, then I buy myself clothes or things like that. So for me, coming from a place where no need to suddenly having to figure out how things happen. So I started working kind of early, like after standard 8, worked at my uncle's shop, made some money. We used to be paid, I think, 3K a month. It was just for 1 month, waiting to go into Form 1. Did that. Then all the holidays, I would do some things. Now, interestingly, most of my side hustles even then were artistic. So my mom, because she was a head teacher, she will say, okay, the school, they need, like the drama club needs backdrop painted. Go talk to the drama club, ask them what their theme is, those things, figure out what you want to draw for them, then tell us what it will cost as the school. So I tell them, okay, for materials, we'll need this. And so I will make some money that way. It was nepotism, but
so be it.
Also, I can say near in the environment, there was no other artist. So it was also taking the best man for the job.
Just as well.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting question. I want to ask you this. And I'm going to give context why I'm asking, because if you've listened to this podcast before, you've heard me talk about the fact that yes, we were brought up, my brothers and I were brought up to a large extent in a single mom household.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you this from one, now you are a father as well. Have you ever held your father accountable, so to speak, or felt any type of way about him not meeting the financial responsibilities or financial expectations you would have had?
I mean, I didn't have the chance to do it because he passed on, like ana kwa ana. But like that used to piss me off, because I was like, in my head, I was always like, especially at a time when they had court cases with my mom, and there was one time that I was required to come to court And I was so mad at both him and my mom. I'm like, why?
What?
As a child, am I supposed to be here? This is a fight between you and him. Why am I involved in this? If it's about money, let me figure out my money then. I'd rather do this than why you having me come here to... Like, I used to be so pissed at the fact that I'm your child. Why must I beg you for money and not money for clothes or frivolous things? Like, why must I come and ask you, pay my fees? Like, don't you not see that this is... And it's not because he could not do it. He was a doctor. So it's just these fights that people have and then they affect everything else. So me, I was so mad at that thing. But for me, how I dealt with it was I just was like, okay, just know in your life, you're not expecting money from your dad. You just figure out where money comes from. So my approach to going to work, so that's what it triggered in me. I was just like... And then at some point he passed on and I was like, well, I guess we'll never... know. Yeah.
It's just gone there.
It's gone.
I mean, I think your story and mine in that respect is the similarities are uncanny because my father's a doctor as well.
Yeah.
Just that he's
wild.
and he's still alive. But I do wonder. I do think I don't think I am in I mean, I haven't relied on him. We have not relied on him financially for God knows how long.
Yeah.
The last time I spoke to him was like, and I said this actually on Jules' So This Is Love podcast. When we were promoting this Love Is Money show, but I don't think I'm in his will. I don't think any of us are in his will.
Yeah.
I don't think he thinks about us financially. And for me, that thought that you said where you're like, yeah, my father is no longer an option for me as a financial avenue. Yeah, that came, I don't know how many years ago. So it's just not been.
Did you ever like confront him about that?
No, yes, well, I did, and it got very volatile. Well, it got heated.
Yeah.
As I said on the podcast, right now I'm blocked on WhatsApp. Anyway, but you know, that's neither here nor there. If you want to listen to the full story, go listen to this.
Wow,
So this
okay,
is Love Podcast. It's all there.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so for you, very early on, you become very entrepreneurial and you're getting money. Another time you're getting money for clothes, but it's primarily, it sounds like ideally it's to help to not have, for your mom to not have too much pressure to figure things out.
Yes. Because I was just like, it just looks like it's stress, asking for some things which are important, but not that important.
Yeah.
Like, let her figure out the school fees, let her figure out the food, things that we have to have. And then for me, the things that I want to do for myself, let me figure it out.
Okay.
So I definitely never thought about it as being an entrepreneur. I just thought about it as survival.
Okay. So when you decide to go into architecture, is there a financial consideration at all based off of this thinking that there'd be a lot of money or there'd be a lot of this?
Yeah. No, so that's the weird thing, because I think, that's actually very interesting, because I realized that I've never thought about my career financially. I think in my life, which I've just realized by you asking it, in my life, the pursuit of money has never been very high on my priorities. I think my faith was always that if I do the things that I love and I'm good at, then I can make a business model out of them and the money will. But like, pursuit of money has never been a big priority. And I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It just is what it is. And it's only actually very lately in my later 30s that I was like, maybe I need to make this making money more of a priority in my life.
Yeah.
Because, and since then, like I think it might be an aging thing, but where I now think about it a lot more than I used to. Yeah. But then it's at a point where I'm fully now into being an artist. And now, again, I have to think about it in the context of being an artist, because it's not something that I'm willing to, it's too important in my life to let go of just for the sole purpose of pursuing money. So for me, my artistry and my purpose, I feel, are always so tied together. And, I know for most time, I know someone will think, faith is not a strategy. And I get that. But then at this point, it's the way that I know to do things, for better or worse. And then we figure out things and we keep going. And it has grown into places that I never thought. But then, yeah.
It is what it is. Okay. And in fact, now that you talked about faith, I want to pivot onto something that you said, because like I told you, I watch a lot of content. Get ready with it. So in one of the interviews, you talk about how you bought your first camera.
Yeah.
And you said at the time you were doing models and renders for architects, I think while you were still in uni.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you get paid 50,000 shillings to
Yes.
a deposit,
Yeah.
50,000 shillings to do a certain render for someone. And that's how you buy your first camera.
Yeah.
But what I want to touch on is you said it was 50,000 shillings. The camera was about 45,000 shillings. And you tithed the 5,000 shillings.
Yeah.
And for me, what was interesting is it seemed like faith, I'm Christian, in connection with the Christian faith and tithing.
Yeah.
Like I guess I had never heard someone, or rather, I've not really heard many people verbalize it and say it like, I tithe this money here.
Yeah.
So what's tithing, or the process of tithing, been like for you in your life, in your journey, and with all the money that you've made?
Honestly, it's not been consistent.
Yeah.
I feel like I used to be so focused about it way before in my younger years.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's something that is always like this, like that, like this, like that. Not intentionally, it just so happens.
Yeah.
But it's, in a way, whether I call it tithing or not, like for us, I think it's important to find a way to give. So it doesn't have to be tithed to a church, but it could be given to a home that needs it, a place that needs it, something like that. I think it's important. It's something which sometimes I lose focus of or insight of, just how important it is, especially in terms of, for me, I think the most important, I will not even look at, and not, be Christianese about it, but like the way I look at it is just removing the reliance of feeling that I have to have this amount of money to feel safe and secure. So sometimes when you remove that, then it forces you to have faith in something bigger than you for your provision and things like that. And for me, I think that could also be one of the reasons why it's always that if I'm in the path that I'm supposed to be on, I'm not saying the money will come, but like we can figure out things figure out the system that makes that work. I know, I just have faith that it will not fail. It might not make me a billionaire, but I know I'm not going to be broke while on the path that I'm supposed to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it has anything to do with the amount of money? And the reason why I ask this is, because many people say, if you don't give a shilling, you won't give 1,000 or whatever. But I think that's like a simplified...
It's too simplified.
It's too simplified, because I may not fight you for 1,000 shillings, but I could possibly fight you for 1 million.
Yes.
Yeah. So it can be 10% of 10,000, 1,000, but 10% of 10 million is 1 million. So I do think there is something.
It makes a difference. I think 1 million will feel harder,
regardless of it still being 10%.
Yeah, regardless of it being like you're left with 9 million, but you will think about, hey, 1 million is a lot to give. It's a lot to give away. And that's exactly why I think it's not supposed to really focus. I think at some point we stopped really focusing also on the figure, because sometimes you just like, there are days where it's just impossible to live, and then there are times when people need more than you have to, and you just help out with it. And I don't know, just finding that balance, it's a tough thing. I just definitely don't think it's very linear or direct or just simple as the way it might seem. I would like it to be, because it will make my life simpler.
Yeah. Straightforward. Yeah. I think I remember the first time I thought about tithing, or in that way, and I was like, like there's different levels to this. I remember my mom tithing at church with a credit card.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, a debit card.
Yeah.
Like on the debit card machine, and I was like
this happens.
Like you are,
wow.
like you are tithing enough for it to be, a
like
transaction that is being done via a debit card, whatever. And I was like, that's crazy. Anyway, okay.
That is wild.
So.
But also goals.
Yeah. Exactly, right? So coming back to your journey now more directly is, okay, so you have your first camera, you now, let's get to the point where now you're working as an architect in an architectural firm.
Yeah.
What's that like? How much are they paying you? What are you doing with your money at the time? Is that around the period where you're getting married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. In fact, that's all. In fact, for me, kind of got this job. My first job, I was making maybe 70K a month, taking home that. And almost all that money, half of it at least, was going into planning our wedding. Was got married, I think a year later or something like that. So all of it, so just direct. It wasn't even enjoying any of that salary. It's just put it away quickly. Pay rent, put it away. Yeah. So did that about 2 years, but also at the same time, I'm shooting because I have this camera, and I think it's an interesting. But I never thought that I will take it seriously. I was just taking it seriously as a hobby. I was like, and for me, I've always been serious about my hobbies because most of my life, I've had art as an outlet, but then strangely enough, even my mom was very serious about, I hope you're practicing your art. Like she was serious about it. But even her, I don't think she ever thought about that practice as a career. She was like, I know you have a job in architecture, but this art is a God-given talent. You need to nurture it. And so I always knew that I'm going to have an artistic talent. So photography was the new one and I enjoyed it. I never thought like I will go somewhere where now I want to quit architecture for photography. Never thought that will happen.
Yeah.
But that happened like 2 years in.
Yeah.
But in those 2 years, I think the diligence of just shooting often and putting things online, I think also based on the time that we were in, it was a time when the internet was just for us, kind of awakening. So blogs, Twitter was just starting. There was no Instagram, Flickr for pictures. So putting things online every day gave suddenly people a way to see your art that they didn't have before. So I was getting very busy, whether it's people asking me, shoot my portrait, shoot these weddings. So within those 2 years, I got so busy that I knew I have to make a decision. What do I focus on? Do I focus on the architecture and just put my photography to the weekends only? Or now go into photography and quit my day job? And so I decided, gave it a try. Spoke with wifey, we discussed it. We're like, let's see what's possible. I took 3 months, or rather, talked to my boss. I was like, I'd like to work half the time for half the money, if that's okay. 2 weeks in a month, half the for 35K. She said, okay, that can work, but then I get to choose the 2 weeks, or at least one of the weeks in the 2 weeks I get to choose, so that I don't want you here when there's no work, and then when there's work is the time that you're not here.
Yeah.
I said, that's fair. Now, what happened within those 3 months is that the time that I was away from the office, I had full control of my time. I was really pushing in my photography, and I felt like I was getting so much progress that the time now in the office felt like I'm in a prison.
Stopping you.
Yeah. It felt, I was like, yes, as much as it's making me this money, I think it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
So took the chance.
And I mean, financially speaking, why are you making more from, even in that 3 month, 2 week period, why are you making more from the photography than
I
the
think I
office,
was
technically
almost
speaking?
getting, my thought was that, okay, my thought was, if I can quit photography and just make as much as I make in the office, I think it's worth it. Because then I have control of my time. I'm definitely not working 8 hours a day. And most of the time, I'm home or shooting. So when I quit, I just wanted to make sure that I can make 35K in 2 weeks. That was my goal.
That was the goal.
Let's just make 35K. If we can make 35K, we can make this work.
Yeah.
And I found that I could make, depending. Now the thing, that's the only thing about our job is like the 2 weeks, sometimes I could make 50, sometimes I could make just 20. But it was where in those 3 months I was like, I think it's possible. It's possible.
The hypothesis was...
Yeah. So like it's working. I think I could make, in a month, I can't not make 50K at the very least.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think it's worth the plunge.
It's worth taking it. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think here, I want to ask you a little bit about, because is this by this point, have you gone to KICC and started taking the...
Yeah. This
the
I did
pictures?
2010.
2010. Okay. And
So a lot of these pictures are also Nairobi pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to ask you about that is, again, there's a podcast Collins here sent to me like I think 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was like he's from West Africa. I've forgotten his name, but he's one of the guys who worked with what's the artist's name? Not Burna Boy. The other guy, the guy for December, Mr. Easy. And he talks about how much work went into building that December. They have like a December party thing in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And he says, these days there are people who say that this thing it just happened, like culture just happened, and it's like, no, we engineered this thing, and it was a lot of work. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is, again, when I was watching stuff about you were talking about how Nairobi transformed from Nairobi to Nairobi, and I remembered, people used to say Nairobi, which sort of thing that I've heard in a while. And Nairobi then sort of transformed to more this space of heartbreak and love, but like a place that people begin to love more, so to speak. And I'm curious, and I didn't even know, by the way, the role that you had played in just trying to, the small part of large part you may have played in trying to shift that culture. So I guess my question is about that a little. When you look back now, what do you see, or what can you say about that?
What I can say is that, because the thing is sometimes you observe a problem, and you're like, I don't think I like this, and you can either continue not liking it, or you can do something about it. And for me, the thing was in pictures, and I saw what was online. And I was like, I think I can take better pictures. I think there's a side that is not being seen. So maybe I should just photograph the thing, because I'm not a big fan of talking about problems. If I can't do anything about it, I'm the kind of person who, if you complain to me about a problem once, twice, thrice, I'm like, my guy, are we going to do something about it, or are we just talking about it? Or do we just enjoy complaining? So for me, I'll be like, okay, but what can I do? And photography was the thing, because I saw such beauty. Granted, it was from the rooftops, but I also understood how philosophically the change of perspective of the way you look at things can affect the way you feel about things. And so if all you see about Nairobi is the dust on the ground, then that's bound to be your reality, in that all you know is Nairobi. But it's possible to see something different, even if it's not your everyday reality. At least have a balanced view. Understand that we have Nairobi and we also have Nairobi, but both of them are Nairobi. It's not just one thing. And so in the beginning, a lot of my work was about shifting narratives, because a lot of our communication about not just Nairobi, about Africa, back 2010s, around then and before, had always been so negative and very intentionally negative, and most perpetuated by Western media and things like that. But I think that changed. And a big part of why that changed is the work that some of us photographers were doing, just encouraging people to, whatever your story is, wherever you are, that story is valid. Whether you're in the hood, you're in more affluent places, like all of you make up this Nairobi. And Nairobi can't just be the ghetto. Nairobi can't just be Runda. It's all of these things together. And so what if we just shared more of these stories? Whatever your reality is, share that story a lot more. And I can say that has been, we can see how this has shifted in the way Nairobi expresses itself. Like that was the beginnings of all of this fashion, of all the events with music and things like that.
Yeah.
Like people express themselves at whatever level you are. You don't feel like lazima, like you have to be ghetto to feel like you're Nairobi. Like even people who are Babs felt like even us, Nairobi is ours. And I think that's a lot in part too, because of what we did at that time.
Yeah.
Just telling people, put your things online. And people did.
Yeah.
And now it's become the norm.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, that was when I just realized that, I was just like, oh man, this is fantastic. I have to bring this up.
Many times we forget, because these just things that you do, then they take some impact and take a path of its own.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what's the next transformational thing that happens in your money journey? In your money journey after. So now you've quit the architecture, you're now
Yeah.
working full time. Essentially, on average, you're able to make enough money and you're fine.
Yeah.
What's the next monumental thing that happens for you?
The next big thing would be understanding that now I have to be a creative entrepreneur. In that, I need to register a company. I need to figure out these things, start paying my taxes. Like I have to figure out the business of things
Yeah.
early, which I absolutely hated. Have to figure out. And then at that time, partnered with someone who wanted to be a photographer, but they assisted some photographers and figured out, actually, I don't like being a photographer, but I've seen a gap in that a lot of these photographers don't like the management side of things. They don't like to figure out their taxes, their calendars, just the managerial bit. And so he started a company called Procraft, and that company was just to manage talent, but specifically photographers. And that's how Tandiwe and I found ourselves under the same. We're like about 4 people under there. And so that became, again, another step toward, if I can start having someone else handle this and handle it based on percentages, so that if there's nothing coming, because at that time I'd already been speaking to some people, being like, I need someone to manage things. But also, we're in an industry where you're not sure, like this month you might make $1 million, the next month you might make nothing for another 5 months even. So I can't be paying somebody a monthly check even when I'm making no money. If I'm making no money, it means also as a manager, you've not done your job. You need to be bringing work in. So bring work, you get a percentage of that. So we kind of started with that. And then that gave way into being, having like systems and things. So early then, at that time is when I kind of realized we needed to figure out systems that make things flow in some way. And I think around that early started speaking to, working on having an accountant. So things like that, I think in those first maybe 2015, 16. So that was another big thing, like the business of handling a company and stuff like that. That part was tough, but then again, that I feel was a big step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commercially speaking, around that time, what's a gig that you get that maybe not just reignites the faith in the craft and the path that you're on, but is almost even validation, and is like, yes, definitely. If I can get more of these, like we are on.
Definitely, I think I'm going to say Safaricom's calendar. That first one we did, Capture Kenya. Back when Safaricom used to care about creative people. And actually people in general.
Yeah.
This mention is not supposed to give them any clout. In fact, I hope they're getting no clout whatsoever.
Yeah.
But also don't come for me.
Peace and love.
Yes. So yeah, back then I got into, I think I applied for this competition, Safaricom, to shoot the calendar. And that one they'd already said in advance, this one is, if you make it, we're looking for, I think, 4 people. Was it 5? 4 people. In the top 4 that will be taken, you make $1 million, you're going to be part of creating the calendar. And I was like, so that was, for me, in fact, that was even my first $1 million.
Yeah, you said.
Even though it didn't come into my account as $1 million, I was so mad when I realized this withholding
the
tax.
950.
Yeah, I'm like, damn it. I just wanted my account. Even a friend was like, that will be like when you go to the ATM and you get that receipt, that will be like your whatever. So even if you need, add money to make sure you have money so that your account reads
$1 million.
That you have $1 million and you can, whatever that receipt, you say, my first meal, because that feeling will never come back.
Yeah.
And for me, of course, that was transformational, because the first, like for me, it's very validating. Anytime that I achieve something big from art, it's very validating to me, because I feel like it's such a big chance taken on living a creative life that when there's a win that comes from the creativity, it's a big win. Yeah.
Okay. What do you do with the money?
bought a car.
So like the money came in.
Yeah, in fact,
immediately.
like when I knew because we didn't have a car before then, when we knew the money was coming, we started looking for a car. Being
Yeah.
like, okay, what lifestyle are we trying to? The money is not going to get finished on a car, but we knew by that time we already do road trips with friends, but we only just jump on someone's car. We're doing road trips. We're traveling around. In fact, shooting Kenya a lot before. What is this one by Nini called? Is it Tembea Kenya?
Yes.
Yeah, before there was Tembea Kenya. As that group that I was in with Moav and more people, we had a group called One Touch, and we used to go around, and we had, what was our hashtag?
One Touch Live.
It was, One Touch Live was the thing that we were, but we had a
specific hashtag.
Kenya,
Okay.
for Kenya. So even when Tembea Kenya came after, we're like, we are opposed to using Tembea Kenya because we have, like, it's making, but also the bigger problem was that I think the way KTB at that time had done it is such that their terms and conditions of that the use of Tembea Kenya as a hashtag means you're agreeing for your images to be used by them to promote. And so I was like, do you people know what is happening? These terms and conditions are not working.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we knew that we needed to get a car that can do these things. So a 4x4 to go on trips. So looked, found one, and immediately that money came. I didn't even bank it immediately because I was like, if I bank it, it might just find other work. Let me just keep it here first. After find a car, then bank the money, and now
buy the car and then move on.
Yeah.
Okay. But at this point in time, you're not struggling. You guys are feel like you're fine. You're making money. You're meeting your bills. There's no struggles, no issues, no nothing.
Yeah.
Is there any investments that you've started making at that point in time?
At that time, everything that, so the way that I thought about it, for me, for a long time, especially in this work that I've been doing, a lot of the investments that I've been making in myself. And myself, not me as Mutua, but myself as the creative person. And what I mean by this, and that I've always had so many clashes with this, because it's like anytime whether you're listening to or reading stuff about investing, you're seeing people talk about what seems like the most serious investments. And I'm like, I always felt it doesn't make sense for me. I need this gear that I don't have, or this kind of stuff that I need for work that I don't have. It doesn't make sense for me to be putting money away when there's gear that, if I look at it as an investment, for me, a piece of gear that cost me 200K makes me $1 million in less than a year in the kind of work that I'm able to do because I have that. So a lot went into investing in myself. And I feel in a way still is, because so many times that I'm trying to do, so many times that I'm trying to do a show or something like that, we are in an industry where you rarely have people who invest in you or access to financing in any way, which is something I realized heavily when I did my show last year, because for that show to happen, it cost me more than 2 million to set up. I knew that I would make money from it. I knew it, but it was hard to convince anyone. And also, I'm a creative person. There's no way I'm walking into a bank and saying I need $1 million. I'll actually pay it in just 3 months. In 3 months, I'll give it back. Also, I don't think that's what they want. So this, they wanted to pay it over, I don't know how many years.
More money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, based on that, I find that it's very hard for me to think of investing in these systems, which I understand are the systems that work in the world, but systems that never invest back in me in any way that makes sense. Yet, I know that I have somewhere that if I invested in a pursuit that I'm making, an artistic pursuit, and put in, whether it's $1 million in it, I know that in a year I will put out double, but it's also not direct in a way that I can say every month it will bring this. Like, it will be able to do something that 2 million might come all at once, or it might come in 2 whatevers, or in 4 installments. So I get that it takes a lot of faith and just belief in yourself, which is why I'm a big fan of this Jay-Z line where he says, it only has to it only has to work once.
Yeah.
Like being an artist is so
That's-
crazy because it just has to work once.
It's only once it needs
Yeah.
to work. Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Are you putting anything aside for emergencies?
I am sometimes, but also it's a weird thing. Let me tell you why it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
I'm in a life where I saw this line someone say on Twitter, why is it that every time I put money aside for a rainy day, it rains the next day? And I was like, why is this talking about me?
Yeah.
Like, talk to me direct.
Yeah.
Like, almost all the time, this is what it feels like. It feels like such a wild pursuit that put things away, wahala. Wahala follows. It's like it's just sniffing.
Yeah.
There's money, this is the right time.
Yeah.
And it's always things that, it's not things that are light things where you're like, it's not lifestyle things. It's heavy things for you just have to do things at that time. So at this point, we are again back to zero.
Yeah.
It's always like it happens and then
You save, then something happens, it takes
let
the
me
money.
tell you. I don't know
'Cause
how, I don't even understand how people do it. Me, that part, I need someone to be stealing the money from me, but a benevolent thief.
Yeah, to steal but keep it away. Because I wanted to actually ask, because I wanted to move to the point where you get your daughter,
Yeah.
right? And I have a niece who was born. So she was born in January, but she was supposed to have come in, I want to say, April. Or March. Anyway, it was
exactly like my daughter.
Like it was a good number of months.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And the reason why I also know this is because I remember when she was in the NICU and in the ICU and all of that. I remember telling my brother, because you had just put up a post.
Yeah.
And I remember telling him, I think you should go and look at Mutua Matheka's post because he's gone through this.
That's the exact same thing.
and-
Even
and
those timelines.
Yeah. And he talks about it. So anyway, but the reason I'm asking from the emergency perspective is I want to know financially, what does that situation look like? Because I mean, yes, there's love and prayers and everything that's happening online, but what's the
of course,
yeah,
you have to. So what I've found is we're always ready for a small emergency, not a very big one, but then at the same time, all I know is that in the 15 years that I've been a professional, whatever it is, person, and also at the same time married, all emergencies that we've had, we've been able to handle. It's not been easy. We've been able to handle, and at the same time, like at least handle first, and then finish covering, so to speak. And so in a way, in that part, so what to say is that as a person, I want to be better in that part, but I know that we've been able to handle big emergencies that I don't even understand how, because we're not in debt because of emergencies. But the creative life also means somehow. So sometimes I find a weird thing that is not even funny, but it is because always, as a creative person, you might have money, but I feel like you always have money outside. That is somewhere. So that becomes like almost like your emergency fund or your like savings, because there's always someone. For me, through all the 15 years, I always have someone who owes me a job that I did that has not yet paid, that is about to, and so every time it feels, and that's a wild, I can see how it's a wild way
to live.
Yeah. And that's actually the whole point. The point is that it's a wild way to live. It's a wild way to live. But at the same time, different lifestyles. I think different people can handle different types of lifestyles based on being a creative by itself in this country is a wild way to live. Even when there's no emergencies happening to you.
Yeah.
Because we're in a country that is actively against manners of creativity. All systems are not designed to help us in any way. And so you find that I understand that for me to fit well in the way the system needs to be, I'll have to do it at great personal cost because I can't access the same systems that I put faith in. And so in that way, it's always...
So, for example, you have a bank, you put your money in the bank, but you cannot access money. You cannot get a facility from the bank.
Yes.
Despite putting money in the bank.
Yeah. And despite putting money in the bank for a long time, I've been putting money in my bank for 15 years, but then it's only, let's say, for example, just for a credit card, it's only till last year, and I've had a business account in that bank for more than 10 years, that they're like, maybe we should
take a chance.
And I'm like, don't talk to me. So you see, like things like this, so you find yourself having such hard times putting your faith and your resources in systems in this way that don't come back to you in the way that they're supposed to. Like if I'm in an emergency, I can't access things that anyone else will be able to access. But at the same time, every single time I make money, it's coming to that account. Whether it's big money, whether it's small money, the bank benefits from my money.
Yes.
And so I don't know. These are the things that that I hope can change. Like last year, let me tell you, I really was like, we need a charmer for creative people. Where if you don't pay, we'll just take your equipment. It's very easy to deal with a creative person.
Yeah.
If I give you a loan and you don't pay, I just come here and take everything over here. What will you do? The thing that makes you money, you can't do it. It's easy. I feel like it's even easier than the people who you take land from. That land, they're not using that land to farm at that time.
Yeah.
It's just land that they've used as collateral.
Yeah.
Me, if I give you my equipment as collateral, first, it's worth a lot of money. But secondly, it stops me from being able to make more money. It feels like it's a no-brainer to have me as someone who's valuable to your ecosystem. But the bottom line is that it's a wild way to live. It's a wild way to live.
The way you're talking about what you're saying, last year you got to that point. Is it a specific incident that made you get to that point, or is it the cumulative compounding interest of all you have experienced that got you to that point?
It's all of those, but it's specifically me working on this exhibition, because this exhibition is the biggest financial endeavor that I've taken.
Like my
own, which I knew, okay, I'm doing this thing. I've looked at the costs. There's no way it can cost less than around 2 million minimum. There's no way it will cost less than this. Like that's the minimum for it to be the way we want it to be. It can cost more. If I had more money, I will do better things.
Yes.
But that's the minimum. And I'm like, where am I getting 2 million? Yes, I can talk to sponsors. That's one thing. But then if that doesn't happen, to me, I felt like especially looking at that exhibition also as a business pursuit, there needs to be more ways that I can be sure that I'm going to have that money. It's only a thing of where do I get it from? Whether it's from a sponsor or it's a loan from a bank, because it's a business venture, it needs that money and it needs it. There's a time crunch also. There's people that need to start working on the site to do. It's like needing to build a building that is opening or finish a building that opens and clients are there already. Yeah. It's opening in 2 weeks. They're like, I need 2 million to finish that 2 weeks, and you cannot access that money. So things like that, that specific one was like, I wish there was somewhere now that I could get this kind of money now. Because if I could get it now, I was able to pay it back in a month. But I didn't need it a month later. Yeah. I needed it
literally in that moment.
Like if I didn't get it then, there was no way that it could have made money.
Yeah.
And so things like those are so annoying in the environment that we are in, because they just show me, like, I don't know, I'm an entrepreneur, which I would look at myself as an entrepreneur just like anyone else, but then having to work with both hands tied behind my back and still being given the same expectations that every other entrepreneur has been given with the taxes, with where you put your money and things like that. Same expectations, but no help in whatever way.
Okay.
So those systems, I feel, need to change, that would accommodate even people in the creative sector a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to sort of go back to just ask a question around your daughter's situation, and specifically, I'm curious about, because I think for my brother, I think the cost for that ICU, whatever, it was 1 point something. It must have been 1 point something.
That is crazy.
So, albeit this was 20. She's 4 now. So this was 2021.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. One, like, just genuinely speaking, how much did it actually? What was the cost of being able to have that for your daughter to be able to be the fantastic person, the human being that she is now? And then, if I'm to factor in, because the other thing that I saw for my brother was there's the financial cost, and then there's the emotional and psychological cost of that 4-month process.
Yeah.
Where every day he was going home, and then you go back in the morning, and he was there with his wife, and it's and we are all praying, and it just was not, like, would not wish it on my worst enemy. Yeah.
And theirs for sure sounds like so much crazier, because for us it was 2 months before.
Yeah.
2 months premature. And even on the day, and first of all, it's a thing where you're still working, you're still knowing that you have 2 months to kind of prepare for this baby.
Yeah.
So we are still doing
There's
things.
still things to put together.
There's a lot to be done. There's still jobs haven't been paused because it's not happening now. So there's work happening, stuff like that. First of all, in the hospital, just to even admit, they needed to drop money. Thankfully, that was there. But also thankfully, because she's the second born, I didn't go through the reception. We knew where the maternity was. So we just went straight, because I was like, this is an emergency also. Like, placenta was coming outside if it's TMI, but it is what it is. It was outside. So we're like, it's an emergency. So we went straight to maternity. They said, have you admitted? We said, no. We just wanted her to be here first, which thank God we did that. Then went to the to admin. They said, we need money now. We need 100K now.
They said we need 100K now.
Now, before we even admit. I'm like, what do you mean? I said, okay, I think I don't know how much I had in my accessible, but I said I can give you 50K now. I pay with my card. On their part, it says they've not received, but on my
got the message.
on my message says money has gone. I'm like, you have to stop playing.
Yeah.
I had to now go to an ATM to see. I see the money is actually out.
Yeah.
I go back to the hospital, tell them, you guys have the money. They say, but this is telling us we've not received. Anyway, we figured it out. She was admitted. And the baby came, in fact, in like 2 hours. Baby was there. Then, of course, cost, let me tell you that first night of premature, just the first day itself costs 75K.
The first day.
First day. By next day, the bill is already gone up. and the baby was there. She was there for maybe a month. For us, she was there about a month. Wife had to move to her parents, Hurlingham, which is closer to Nairobi Hospital. And then me, of course, now our boy is 2 months old. He can't go into the hospital. So I have to be with him home and figure out how to do these visits. So I'd come every other day. And then that day, be with him in the house. Like everybody, the community came through, because like my direct next door neighbor who also had some children, they stayed with him like almost the times that I need to go to hospital or to a job. They're like, leave him. And they told me, if you come anytime after 9 p.m., you're not seeing him, he'll be asleep. You can see him the next morning. So sometimes I'll get home like at 10. I go there, catch them up on things. They tell me he's already asleep. Come tomorrow. I sleep, rest the next day, pick him. We hang out. And then every weekend, of course, now go so that he can see his mom. He wouldn't see his sister, but see his mom, hang out with his other relatives. Then, that for a whole month, that was the schedule. For my wife, it was just wake up, straight to hospital, stay there, maybe lunch after lunch, or goes home for lunch, takes a 2-hour nap. By that time, I'm already there. So I'm hanging out with her. Wifey is at folks' house, chilling around 4 p.m. Then she comes back. So that's when we see each other. We talk. Then it's not, you can't even do much because it's inside NICU. So it can't really, and she can't really come out. She's trying to give the nurses milk, things like that. So hang out with the baby a bit, see her around 9 or so is when I leave the hospital now to go home. And that was it for about a month. So it was heavy turmoil. And then at the same time, you're looking at it because the baby needs to be a certain weight before they release her from hospital. Every day is measured. You're like, this weight is not moving. In fact, sometimes it feels like it's coming
going
back. Like, what the hell is happening? So that process is mad. And every 2 days or so, I'm told finance wants to talk to you or a phone call. It's like, Mutua, so we need you to top up because they're trying not to hit you, which I actually appreciated.
They're not trying to hit you with a big bill.
With a big bill at the end. They're trying every 2 days when it goes
Just
to about, you owe them about 100, they say you need to top up something. Or you owe them 50, they call. So I'd just be every 2 days. I send them a 50. Either someone has paid me somewhere, it's like something I said. I get money, I pay them. If it's 100, pay them. So at the end of the day, for us, it ended up costing us about 400K. It was about maybe 200 or 300 for the hospital. So thankfully for her, it was just after the first 2 days, the only costs were the costs of the incubator.
right.
And just small. She didn't need medicine. She was just there to grow.
Yeah.
Observation and grow in a controlled environment. So we didn't have like medicine included in there, which will have increased the costs. So we were fortunate. She gave us that one gift of, let me take care of you already, Nisha. We've already run up the bill.
Yeah.
Let's reduce it a little bit.
Yeah.
Then I thought we were done when it was the end. But then what they call children's doctors?
Pediatrician.
Yeah, the pediatrician. I thought her cost was in that. She's like, actually, there's also I'm like, there's your money. I thought it was part of it. Like, no, me, I'm not employed by Nairobi Hospital.
I'm consulting.
I'm consulting. I'm like, okay, so how much is yours? I think it was like 100 or 150K.
Yeah.
I told her, I'll give you 50 now.
And then
when we come for the checkup, that's after we left. Because she asked for our money after you're out of hospital. Yeah. So I paid her. Went, we needed a checkup like 2 weeks later. I came with the rest. Paid her, I was like, hey. So that girl, we tell her the story of her birth every year on her birthday. I'll tell you how you came in with a lot of stress. But also, just for her to know, because I'm like, sometimes you think you can't do things. I need to be telling you how you came into this world so that you can understand that you can do tough things. Yeah.
Okay, crazy. Yeah. I mean, I think just a context is good and amazing to have. I want us to move because we're an hour 20 now, so I want us to sort of wrap up. But I want to talk about two things. One, and more on the success bright side of things for whatever it is that you can disclose. There's two particular things I saw and I said I wanted to ask you on. One was the portrait you handed to the former president of Kenya. What's that process like? Are you recruited? I know it was under a specific project. Yeah. Do they look for you? Do they ask you? And then now when you're quoting for it, because there's someone else who, and was it Marv? I don't know who there was someone else who was telling us about quoting for the president. I can't remember who the person was. And he was telling us, they tell you what...
This is what you put in there.
This is what you put, or something like that. Anyway, so that
I
process,
would not be surprised.
That's that process. And then the second one was, I think at the time when you were doing this interview, you said it had been the biggest paycheck you had gotten, which was the Hennessy project. And just talk to us a little bit about both of those two. Yeah.
Okay. So for that one, for the president, it wasn't actually paid for by the government or the president. That one was a gift to him that was being given by the MasterCard Foundation. Because I think that whole... Was it a conference? It was by MasterCard. Yeah, it was by MasterCard. Yeah. So I was doing some work with them. Two things. The first thing is I was teaching a workshop for storytellers separately, but also within that. So that was one thing I was doing for them. And then they also wanted to buy a gift for the president. So they asked me, they said, we just want something that's a sunset. So I sent to them several pictures that I have that are of sunsets. They were like, okay, we like this one. Then now tell us what it will cost for everything. Yeah. And of course, now I had to find out what size do we want to make it, things like that. There's the technicality that we have to deal with the sizes. Whether do we want it on canvas, do we want it on paper, things like that. Like those are technical details. And then also frame it in a way. I was like, this I can't frame it the way I frame other things, just to look presidential.
Yeah.
So even with my framer, I was like, do we have something? But I also don't want those mamushaino frames
Fair. Yeah.
that are gold, that nini. Also, it wouldn't look good with a sunset.
Yeah.
So we found some good natural wood. In fact, the framer was like, I have the perfect wood for you. It's natural wood, no painting, no, it's just recycled wood. So we have it, and that's what we'll use. I said, fantastic, this sounds good. And then they also wanted me to present it to him.
Hence
So that, doesn't, for the, I think for the picture moment, so that doesn't, it feels like supporting artistry and stuff like that. So MasterCard are the ones who paid me.
Yeah.
Then my work was just to present it to the president. And yeah, I don't know if he still has it.
Hopefully.
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 But yeah.
Okay.
So that's how we did that.
That makes sense. Okay.
With Hennessy, that's one of the most stress-free jobs, which is why I keep saying everyone in this country who's a creative person needs to work with people outside this country, just for the sake of seeing how smooth it can get, how good it can get, not just in how you're paid, but also in process. Because I feel like sometimes you work with companies here and the way every process is just, every step is stressful. Like it's either bargaining or just asking you to not do things or changing things. And for them, it was simple, as in they were looking for, Hennessy at that time was trying to find like 8 different artists on the continent in different fields. And so for me, I'm the one they chose from East and Central Africa on photography. The others were like singers, dancers, stuff like that. And I think I'd been reached out to by an agency that deals with models or stuff like that, who I'd been tapped to just give extraordinary individuals in the art sector. So they looked at everyone, they picked me. I was like, oh, this is nice. So they said, yeah, this is what we want. We want you to be on part of this campaign we're doing. We'll do a shoot. You're going to be on billboards. So we looked at everything. And they said, if you're interested, we'll send a contract. So they send the contract, and then they send a contract with the figure on the contract. If you agree, you sign, that's what you'll be paid. So looked at it, see, okay, it's going to be billboards all over Africa, like the region is wide. Looked at everything, we're like, okay, no. We said everything in the contract is fine, but the figure is too little. We multiplied it by 3. We sent it to them. The email that they replied with was an amended contract
with the figure,
with the new figure that I'd said. I was like, damn, we should have multiplied by 5.
And when you're multiplying by 3, were you doing it with hesitation, or were you just like?
No, it was like what they require, because it was also a 3-year contract. For in the 3 years, can't work with another whiskey or
right.
bourbon brand. So by seeing that, I was like, this is a lot. What they paid for could work for a year or less. For 3 years, of course, now if it was now, I would multiply by a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they sent back with a new figure, and then signed, finished, sent to them. Then from there, it was just a matter of schedules. Did the shoot in Cape Town. And even for that, even the way you're handled, because they'd already had me talk to the wardrobe designer, the wardrobe person, to be like, do you have clothes in these colors? Just carry all of them. We see. I go to Cape Town. Of course, they pick me up from the airport, take me to this hotel. Nice hotel. I can't remember the name. In the middle of Cape Town. And the way I'm used to every time that I've worked with people is like, you get into a hotel, they say you can sign the meals, but don't touch the minibar or drinks are on you. These ones were like anything that you need in the hotel that you take,
you can sign.
Just sign it to the room. I was like, anything? Said, yeah. Anything. Just, you can eat here, whatever it is you do. I was like, hey, this is nice. Then I was picked up later to go to the wardrobe, did all that. They took pictures, just pictures to confirm this is what you'll wear tomorrow. Came back, and everywhere, that night, I went to meet some friends. And when I met my driver later, he was like, what have you been up to? I told him I went to see some friends that I have in Cape Town. He was like, but why didn't you call me? I said, no, I just took an Uber. It was fine. It was my personal thing. Is like, Mutua, I'm here. The only reason I'm here working is you. For the next 2 days, you're my job to take you where you need to go, whatever. I was like, what's happening? I'm not familiar. So he was there to sort me out anywhere that I needed to go. Not only that, he came, he gave me an envelope. I'm like, what's this? He said, that's your per diem. I'm like, Allah.
So they're kind of covering your meals and whatever, and then they're
And
giving
still
you
a per diem just for moving around. So for me, I don't think I've worked with any company that operates like that.
Yeah.
So that was a good job.
Was it life-changing money at the time?
It was, because also now here is what in fact was the bigger thing. In fact, that money, it was supposed to come there at the right time, because I was unaware that I was going to endure my toughest financial year yet in 2019, and I did that job in 2018. And that was one of the ways. That was when I say it rains the next day.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't necessarily the next day.
Yeah,
but because that money was put away, it kind of took us a while. It helped us go. And not only that, because 2018 was also a year where I was doing, again, another big investment in a road trip to capture African cities. That is a personal project nobody really was paying me for. It's a project where we'd crowdfunded for and gone, but then had an accident, had to come back. So, of course, money goes and that doesn't come back. When we came back, I got a grant that I put back in that just to be able to finish, because I've, promised people things, which is, and you've done a project which the magnitude of the project was not even known to you. It's only by going there that I realized, oh my gosh, this project is going to cost double or triple what we thought it was going to cost. And even in terms of time, it's costing double, which is why, of course, even the cost still triples. So did that trip after that job. A lot of that trip, even with all this money that the financing we've gotten, I had to put in my own money, so much of my own money. And then came from that project, and the project didn't take off the way it was supposed to. Like the money that I thought it would bring, it didn't do. So then another year where you're just there being like, what is happening?
Yeah.
That year, 2019, got only one paying job.
In 2019, you got one paying job.
Yeah.
And this is not a COVID year.
This is not COVID year. COVID year was even good for me.
In 2019, you got one paying job.
One paying job.
One paying job.
And so I had to do, so one, the money from that pushed things, but also at the same time, that money was going to get finished. Like it's, like even when people say I've saved for being without a job 6 months, because most of the time you think that 6 months, you'll get another job. Sometimes you go a year and you're like, okay, so what's that 6 month money going to do?
So I'm trying to.
It's wild.
One paying job.
One paying job. I don't understand how, like, that is now going to go into many things. But then that was my worst. I've never had a financial year that bad, but also mentally and emotionally, a year where you doubt everything. Everything. Like, I doubted 9 years of success.
Is it that people are not calling you?
People are not calling me. I feel like I'm out there, but nothing is coming back. Like I can't explain it. Even now,
I cannot. I cannot
explain it.
I can't even imagine it.
But I had to.
And there are probably guys there who, and this I'm just thinking about a typical person who's seen the Hennessy ad, and they're like, oh, Mutua must be having it so good. Of course,
absolutely.
Must be living the life. And
this is how I know, and not because even I'm out there saying that I'm living the life, because I try to be as authentic as I can online. I'm of course not necessarily talking about, oh, I made this much money, oh, I'm so broke. But I just, like in my life, I don't do things which, I don't make it seem like what I'm not online. And at this time, I'm not surprised. It would be most likely someone is like, what do you mean that's what was happening? Because even when I look at my life in 2019, that was financial year. I also went to New York. So I can
You
understand.
see why people
I can
be like,
understand.
what are you talking about?
But then I got invited for this Bill Melinda Gates thing.
Yeah.
This what is it called?
Goalkeepers. Is it
Yeah, goalkeepers.
Yeah.
And then somebody else paid for my ticket because I didn't have money. I was like, I don't mind going. If I go, I know that I can make money because I was like, okay, a few things are happening that are interesting. One, by being that broke, by the time it was getting to March, I was like, now I have to do something. March or April. In my head, I think that imposter syndrome now was like, what? I think all this time, I've actually been a mediocre photographer and people have finally found out. They finally found me out and they've realized, Mutua has been lying to us all this time. Kumbe, nothing. So that's where, that whole year, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, because I tried to make sense of it and it doesn't make sense.
Because you were saying now it got to about April and then
Yeah.
you got the opportunity to go to New York. So someone pays the ticket.
Yeah.
And you were like, when I go there, I can make some money.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And the reason, no, even New York was much later.
Yeah.
So even before New York happened, in April, I knew that I'm at a point where now I have to figure out money, something, because almost at the end, I don't want to wait till I'm zero. And so I started thinking and looking, I was like, I have so many pictures that I've shot for so many years. Why am I sitting on this? This is wealth. I'm going to sell pictures. I'm going to sell some pictures cheaply. I'm going to take some pictures that are potentially popular, interesting, but not the very special ones that are for selling expensively. Just take, some general pictures, but nice pictures. But the trick will be make things affordable, do a flash sale. And because I also have no money to put in the whatever, and I don't know what will go, I'm not going to make the prints before. It will be pre-order only. So flash sale, 1 week of selling, 1 week of supplying. So I did my first flash sale for prints. I don't know if I did t-shirts at that time. I don't think so. But I did these prints. Also, that was the time now I started because of that, that's when I opened my print shop online because I had to pivot to do something. So I said, let me put these images, but also said, if you make many images available for cheap, there might be someone who wants something that is not necessarily cheap or available to everyone else. So I'm going to have some of those that are now expensive, the larger format, just in case. So I put out this call. I said, hey, for the next week, I went ham on marketing those images. It was a very specific number of images, not just pick anything from, because I was selling them really cheap. I just wanted to sell enough to see what happens. And within that week, I can't remember how many pieces we sold, but at least from that one flash sale, made profit of about 400K.
From that one flash that week.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, we've put off some things for a while. School fees can be paid, rent can be paid a couple of months. By that time, we'll get jobs. This is just temporary. Hey, in another 2 or 3 months, still no job. So I was like, I think now we were again nearing the New York trip. I knew I wouldn't have money for that. But then somebody paid my ticket. And with the next, I did another flash sale. That year I did 3 flash sales. Because I said, if people are still buying, I'm not going to stop.
Yes.
Did a second flash sale. That one didn't make as much as the first one because a lot of people bought. So this second one came out. I don't know whether I did that before New York or after. But this is the second flash sale. That one profit was about 300K. But then I also said, if you're in America and you want a print or a t-shirt, I'm coming. Make your order now. There's a week to make orders. So I picked orders. I knew, I was like, I think it's best to print ahead for what I can't print. But the t-shirts and stuff I printed here, carried them. Some prints I made there because there are some people who, while I was there, and I was just Instagramming saying more supplies.
I actually saw a post, that one of those posts
Yeah.
yesterday. You said, and I can deliver it personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, since I'm in New York anyway, so all the money that I spent in New York is from the prints I sold. Because I was like, this is a chance to go to New York.
Yeah.
Why would I pass it over?
Yeah.
And someone has paid my fare. It's like an opportunity. Let me just do it. And I said, I'm not going to touch family money. Let me sell things.
Yeah.
So I sold some things, got there. I will meet people. The ones who are far away that were not in New York, I will just mail them and they just send the money. The ones who are in New York, I just meet up with them. I give them the thing. I take the cash. And that's how I made it that. Came back, still no jobs. That was end of the year because I went to New York, I think, in September. So did a last flash sale, November, to
Christmas.
take advantage of Christmas. Did as well as the second one. So about 300 in profit. I was like, okay, at least this one, we can go into next year. So it becomes weird explaining like the worst year also had some really good experiences.
Yeah.
And then I think now because of that, it really made the COVID year 2020 feel like a walk in the park. Because that one had no expenses, but I was making money somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is insane.
So that's how I survived 2019. So I'm always like, if I survive 2019,
You can.
I don't think anything
a
can
year is a
kill
long
me.
time.
A year is a
Especially
long time.
when there's expenses involved. A year
Yeah.
is a long time.
So when people ask me to work for them, like in 2020 in the pandemic, I was like, this is fantastic. And it's work I can just do where I am. So I'd had, so 2020 was good compared.
That is wild. That is, I think out of all the things you've said today, that's the wildest thing that I've had. And I think even on this podcast, I think when it goes out, it'll be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I'm
I'm
sure
looking-
nobody looked at me in
No.
2019 posting New York
No.
pictures thinking this guy has no work.
I want to ask Collins' last question, but there's two. I'm just looking at the notes I made yesterday. I had to make sure I've asked what I wanted to ask. So there's two things I want to touch on. One is, I think there's something you said, once you turn the creative arts into a business, it's 30% creativity, 70% business.
Yeah.
And that's in relation to what Collins wanted me to ask, which was around your pricing strategies. How do you price a piece of art or piece of work?
Yeah. So there's a system. There's a system too, and many people have different systems. I think for us, we've scoured the internet to kind of find what system people have used that we feel is okay. And we've found something that works. It's not like when I say system, it's not like an A plus B is
equals to C.
Yeah, and even if it is, I can't remember what that system is.
Yeah.
But it's a system that is based on one, exclusivity. Like the factors that affect the final cost will be exclusivity. There will be, of course, materials. There's, of course, the physical factors, the materials, the sizes for prints especially and stuff like that. But that's not a very big factor. Third factor is personality, who you are, and how really, for lack of a better word, just how big your balls are. Because sometimes, just like Kanye, you just have to believe that this thing
Is the thing.
is the thing. You, if you don't see it, it's your problem.
Yeah, but it's the thing.
But also, is that if that's how you believe in yourself, you have to be able to back it up. There are people who believe that, but then there's nothing to back up their claim. You're like, my guy. Others can say that, not you. For me, the level, I think actually I should be doing it even bigger. It's only that my audacity is not
It's
at
not
a very
there
high
yet.
level.
Yeah.
It's a little there, but not at the highest level it could be, because I think I have a lot of history back in me, but my audacity is one that needs a pump up. So all of that combination, and then sometimes I think all success also has to have some luck. Sometimes you can be lucky that in the market needs, it's just the right time that you put out something that the market needs what you have, and it just blows up. And many times you can't plan that aspect. And there are sometimes, just like I couldn't plan 2019, sometimes you have all the markers of something great, but nobody wants it. And sometimes you just learn from the thing that you've put out that, wait, you learn things about the market that way. Because for me also that has happened. It's like I put this thing out for sale. It's a fantastic product, but I didn't know that the market is averse to that. And you're like, what do you mean? What do you mean you didn't? Like, it has very good reception, but then nobody bought.
Yeah.
Which confused me. So those are the things I keep learning. But then after you decide all of those things, and of course you figure out your taxes and stuff like that, all the government things that will become a problem later, figure those out, then add them onto that costing. So yeah, all those factors plus tax, then you can figure that out. And that's with selling the artwork. Sometimes there's where you are the product, where someone needs to commission me to go and shoot something. And that one also, again, all those factors kind of come to play, because the resource, which is the resource, is time, you, and how much your work, how you value your work. And sometimes that value of the work is that, is there anyone else like you? If there's nobody like you, you have the opportunity to charge more, which is why I keep saying, for most artists, find the thing that is uniquely you. If you try to be like everyone else, then you're easily replaceable.
Yeah.
If you have something that's just you, then people will pay more for it because they can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah. Okay. The last one is again, this was, I think you must have said it or I watched it somewhere, and you're talking about your experience, I believe, in Malawi. And I think at the time that you were there, not necessarily considered a very rich or wealthy country in terms of value of money.
Yeah.
But you said your experience, because of what you could get, because how affordable things were. You said spending something like 200 bob for a meal and something, and you said you remember seeing this fisherman who was, because everyone has like their little garden or their little thing, and they're able to get food for their family, and it did something for your perception of money.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis what you need to survive.
Yeah.
So did that, I guess I want to ask, like, if you had to surmise that experience for you insofar as money is concerned and your value of money, what did it and has it done for you?
What it did for me, honestly, was how it makes me understand quality of good life versus what you make and what you decide that it is. Because I realize for most of us, we feel like you have to have a lot of money for your life to be a good life. And in many ways, this is true, but it's not always true. And so at the same time, I want to be rich enough to be like, money does not matter. But at the same time, I think if it's a lesson you can learn earlier in life, then it means you can handle both sides. And that's also another lesson that I kind of learned growing up, both rich and poor. It's like when we were poor, we still survived. We still had joy. We still enjoyed ourselves. And in my head, it has made me know that I know me for certain as an individual, I can survive poor. I might not always be happy, but I can survive poor. Like I can be happy. I'll still find some joy in being poor, but also, hey, I was made to be rich. Yes. At the same time. But I think the value of the things around you, for me, where I find money as in itself being a problem is when the value of money is so high that we can't see joy or happiness without it. Because I think that's a false premise. And that's what I learned the most in Malawi, in that it was so, like, I was so baffled because I was like, this guy has because I saw a hut, like a whole hut that is beachfront. Just, the guy wakes up, he leaves his house, he sees the lake. And I'm like, generally speaking, I think that person is living a better life than me. He wakes up, gardens behind, because, it's grass behind his farm, gardens his farm, finds his food there. Or goes to the lake, fishes, and all he has to do to eat in a day is less than an hour of work. And the guy has eaten, his family has eaten. That messed up with my head. I was like, I feel like he's happier than me. Me, I'm out here doing this road trip. I've lost weight. It's important to me. Now, maybe the thing that will be different is that what if I will feel okay with that being the purpose of my life.
Yeah.
But that said, in the way we look at things, I feel like where we look for joy, I think cannot be in money, or that's what I want my life to be. I don't want for me to be looking for the joy in the money.
Yeah.
But I do want to make the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming. Last thing I want you to say is because you know how I was so surprised by you talking about 2019, and everyone else in this room was so surprised by you talking about 2019. And I never do this, but I just want you to maybe just say something to a photographer, videographer, someone in the creative industry who's at the top of their game, who's going through their 2019, where no one's calling, jobs aren't coming through, and you're like, what is going on? Yeah.
Yo. To whoever, hey, first of all, I really hope you're not going through that, because that was a tough time.
Yeah.
But if that is you, and you're going through that tough year where you're even doubting yourself, you're even thinking of, like that was the 1 year that I really thought about going back to an office job, to be like, maybe the architects still are hiring. If you're there and you're thinking about it, all I can say is, yes, you know what's best for you, but figure out a way to hold on. Don't be ashamed to pivot if you need to. So even if that means that desk job, if that's what you need to survive, take it. Maybe you just need it for a month, or for a year, and then you're back to being an artist. If that's what it means, take it. But don't, whatever happens, don't take it on yourself to mean that says anything about your artistry or your creativity. Believe in your creativity. Believe in the work that you do. The work is important. The work is valid. The work must go on. Just figure out a way to make the money, because the money and the work, the money doesn't show the value of the work. The work is valuable regardless of the money that it brings. If you need to figure out a way to make money so that you can keep doing the valuable work, do that. But don't push down the work just because the people are not calling you. It's not a reflection of you. Sometimes it's life. It just is like that all the time. Sometimes, sorry, not all the time. Sometimes. So, yeah, take heart.
Yeah, take heart indeed.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this episode and being with us on this Friday, and we will see you guys next Friday on the next episode of Financially Incorrect.